let's look at what we have for our dailies this morning. I have Daily Graphic and Truth and Accuracy every day. Today is 18th of April 2024. Now, the big news here is GJA 75th anniversary launch. Journalists must be fearless. This is Sir Sam Jonah giving an address. It was a keynote address at the 75th anniversary of the GJA, and I'll read the pyramid for you. Statement. That statesman, Sir Dr. Sam Jonah, has called on journalists to be fearless, courageous, and not compromise with defending the national interest. The entrepreneur and chief executive officer of Jonah Capital, a pan-African investment firm, stressed that the success of the country's democratic path will depend crucially on how free the press was. Now, with our ethics and truth, he reminded journalists of the training to be wary of being overly optimistic or drearily pessimistic, but to look carefully at the fact, the source, the context, and motive. Now, patriotism says, using Dr. Ephraim Amu's patriotic song, Yenaraya Sasini, he said, the rendition was not only a clarion call to patriotism, stewardship, unity, and a reminder of the ideals the nation ought to embody, but a beacon guiding the nation back to the path of integrity. He finalized this by saying we should be polarized. And the GJA president, that is Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, also finalized this by saying, I'm reading his quote, the GJA has no choice but to take aggressive actions to combat a breach of media rights. We were forced to blacklist two important political figures whose followers attacked journalists who were performing their routine duties. That is what happened at the 75th anniversary.
All right. So then let's go to the Ghanaian Times. We have here on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, 9-party alliance for revolutionary change to contest 2024 polls. Alan Cash leads the pack. Okay, we have Works and Housing Ministry invites bids to revive Saglami Housing Project. Of course, the minister was on the Point of View yesterday with Bernard Avlet. Two UK museums return Asante royal objects. Okay, and President Akufo-Addo Asante-Hene inaugurate key energy projects in the Ashanti region. So that's the front page of the Ghanaian Times.
The Chronicle has Allen to contest presidential election on ARC ticket. Red flags at Supremo Timbers. Workers send SOS to government to protect concessions. Now, Kujopon Nkrumah addressing a meeting, government issue request for proposal for Saglami housing units. As my brother said, he was on the Point of View yesterday. CBG does not owe government of Ghana management. Now, the quote of today, for today, is Psalm 82, verse 3. Defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. I love this one.
All right, let's look at the Daily Guide. And the front page of the Daily Guide says, Tamale delegation visits Minster to strengthen ties. We have Nana appoints new accountant general. 4 caged over missing EC equipment. And let's support women. Dr. Baumia is speaking, photographed there with some 4 very powerful ladies. And man remanded for robbing second lady. And this is actually ex-second lady. So this is actually Matilda Hicks.
Yeah, by Mr. Arthur.
Yeah. All right, so that's it for the Daily Guide. Okay.
Is there anything at the back page?
No, there's a few stories here.
Okay.
Yeah. EU Ambassador Azuma clash in Diplo Rumble. Okay.
Rumble.
So, you know, Eshed Razali is an avid boxer. And so he's always, you know, getting involved in all of that. So look at, let me just read what it says here. The European Union ambassador to Ghana, Eshad Razali, is billed to face off Ghanaian boxing icon Azuma Nelson in a historic boxing clash scheduled for May 4th this year at the Bokum Boxing Arena in Accra.
I'd love to go watch that.
I told you. Yeah, he enjoys that a lot, you know, and
I'd love to go watch that.
He actually has. I've actually encountered him in a couple of his training sessions. Yeah, so
that's great.
Yeah.
I have the new finder. President commissions 150 megawatt plant to stabilize power supply in Ashanti region. I will form a truly representative government, Alan Cash. The story is on page 5. Asantehene urges government to allow private investment in ECG, Gridco, and the Volta River Authority. RFP for Saglame issued, inviting private companies to complete houses.
All right. Now, the Anchor newspaper says comatose PNC splits. Top executives break away to form new party. Okay.
Good.
Zip. No, the headline is just some way. Anyway, allow private sector participation in VRA, ECG, Greco, and others. Utumfo is advocating, says diversification is the way to go.
Daybreak, Freedom and Truth, coming up, a motorway expansion and how MS Maripoma got the contract. EC staff students caged over missing laptops. Baumia wants focus on empowering women. I will form a truly representative government, Alan Tremanting. Sam Jonah charges journalists to defend democracy. Yeah, that's it for Daybreak.
All right. The Anchor had these headlines that I missed. It says here 42 million trees planted in 3 years.
Who counted them?
Now the trees no way.
Who I'm repeating what
someone
said.
Where are the trees? And who's been keeping record of this? I think it's very easy to just throw figures around, right? But we need to have a more scientific way of tracking and making sure that we are actually making progress. Because if you're cutting down more trees than you're planting, then did we go or did we come, as we say? So it's important, right, that we actually make deliberate moves forward in this regard, where we are planting trees and we are actually seeing that the green cover of the nation of Ghana is becoming greener, as we go. When you travel around the country a bit, you realize that it's not so green.
It's not so green as compared to other African
countries. Yeah, we're not doing that good. Anyway, are there any stories you want to
Yeah, the suspects that in the missing BVR kits that have been handed over to the police. Now, the Electoral Commission, this was written by Samuel Dodu. The Electoral Commission, EC, has said it has handed over individuals suspected to be involved in the alleged theft of the missing 5 laptops, which were part of the biometric voters registration BVR kits, to the police. Director of Electoral Services at the EC, Dr. Srebo Kweku, who made this known during an interview, said the police commenced investigations into the alleged theft of the 5 laptops about a month ago. Now, let me give a little background. On March 19, 2024, the minority in Parliament called for urgent action from the police following the alleged disappearance of 7 biometric devices, expressing concern about potential ramifications for the upcoming December elections. However, a press conference on March 20, 2024, the EC denied the missing biometric verification devices from its stores and said it was rather 5 laptops which were part of the BVR kits that were stolen. A deputy chairperson of the EC in charge of operations, Samuel Tete, who addressed the press conference, said that during a recent routine servicing of its BVR kits, the EC discovered the theft of the 5 laptops from the kits. He explained that the BVR kits, which comprised of a laptop, camera, scanner and printer, were entirely separate from the Commission's registration data systems and were incapable of manipulating election outcomes as suggested. Now, you can continue to read the story. It goes on on page 17. Yesterday, I liked the interaction you had with the team that came, NDC MPP, strongly opposing that they never denied that they were missing. But
I think it's important.
I read from the Daily Graphic.
I think it's important for us to, understand that. I wish the EC would take this incident so seriously that they will even put trackers on their equipment.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And so, you know how when you walk out of a shop in advanced shops,
it beeps.
Yeah, they have
whatever you're
they have
taking out,
trackers
because of the tracking device
items,
in there, the
right.
chip will definitely give
So that's what I'm talking
indication.
about. So that there are indicators when things are being moved, and then you're able to see. First of all, it's a loud noise that will when the thing is moving out of, like
even an earring,
5 to 10 meters from where it's supposed to be, it should be, go off. I mean, for me, this is a warning sign that these things are likely to happen, and so we need to take these things very seriously. I want to read a story from citynewsroom.com. Sagami housing project will not be left to rot. This is Kojo Opon Nkrumah. As I said earlier, he was on Point of View yesterday with Bernard Avle. Now, Kojo Opon Nkrumah, the Minister for Housing, Works and Housing, has assured that the government is committed to completing the Saglemi housing project. The Saglemi housing project, which commenced in 2012, has encountered significant setbacks, primarily due to government concerns regarding the contract amount. Now, during an interview with Bernard Avle on the Point of View on Citi TV on Wednesday, April 17th, Opon Nkrumah affirmed the government's preparedness to explore opportunities for partnering with potential investors to ensure the successful completion and utilization of the project. And I quote, "The buildings and technical expressions are at various stages of completion. Some are at the foundation level, and the money is finished. Now, as it sits, the state is of the view that it should not be left to rot. That's why the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has asked that we go through a process to identify a private investor or private investors who have technical and financial competencies to help us finish and to operationalize it." Now, when questioned about the government's current focus on reviving the Saglemi housing project after it was abandoned in 2017, Opon Nkrumah explained Minister Samuel Tachia commissioned the evaluation, which then determined that we need about $100 million to complete it. It was based on his report that the prosecution was occasioned somewhere around, I think, 2021, if my timelines are correct. And Minister Asenso Boache is the one who came out to Cabinet requesting for funding to continue the project. And Cabinet did the considerations, went through all the options, and after spending $200 million on this, the state could not afford to spend any more, especially at the time of the beginning of our economic challenges. And so the decision was made to look for private interest. And the story goes on there on citynewsroom.com. All right, well, last night there was a whole lot of sporting activities in Europe. Don't go anywhere. Sports Review is next.
You are still watching Breakfast Daily. This is the Sports Review segment, and we have UCL quarters. Bayern Munich booked their place in the last four of the UEFA Champions League after beating Arsenal 1-0 at the Allianz Arena last night. I'm excited. After a cagey and goalless first half, Joshua Kimmich handed in the opener in the 63rd minute to give Munich the advantage on aggregate. Arsenal tried to get back into the game, but they could not find the leveler, and that was enough for Bayern to progress 3-2 over 2 legs. In Manchester, Real Madrid knocked out the holders, Manchester City, 4-3 on penalties after the tie ended 4-4 on aggregate. After the first leg ended 3-3, last night's second started well for Real Madrid as Rodrigo scored in the 12th minute, but Kevin De Bruyne pulled a level for Man City in the 78th minute. The match went through the extra time without goals, and the shootout was needed to find a winner. Luka Modric missed for Real Madrid, but Bernardo Silva and Mateo Kovacic also missed for Man City, and it came down to Anthony Rudiger, who stepped up to score the winning penalty and send Real Madrid through. They fell face. Okay, so they're going to face Bayern Munich. Let me finish reading so I get into it. While PSG take on Dortmund in the other semi-final. I really wanted to get deeper into this, but Charlie, you go to the Olympic football so we can continue.
Yeah. All I can say is yeah.
The excitement.
Well, just some Olympic basketball news here, and we have Stephen Curry will make his Olympic debut for the USA after he was named on a 12-man roster for this summer Olympics in Paris. Now, LeBron James, the NBA all-time leading point scorer, will play at the games for the first time since London 2012. Now, Kevin Durant is seeking to make history by becoming the first male athlete to win 4 gold medals in basketball. USA are aiming to improve on a disappointing 4th place at last year's Basketball World Cup. And Americans have won 16 Olympic gold medals in the sport and have been champions at each games since 2004. My goodness.
Yes.
Talk about dominance.
Consistency, discipline.
Talk about dominance.
Yes.
My goodness. Since 2004.
14. Yeah.
No, 2004. Yes.
2014, I remember watching it.
So for 20 years, if they do it this year, it means 20 years back to back, they've been champions in Olympics. Wow.
Non-stop.
Right.